Aaron. All right, we live.
Real talk, man.
Hey, appreciate y'all tuning in to another episode of Comedians Chopping It Up. I am Jay Bliss, man. We got another foursome men on the screen, man. Right now, I want to introduce who I got on the screen. I got Caleb Elliott out in the Triad area in North Carolina, man. I got my man Mikey Winfield knocking it down in LA, and my boy Nema Williams down in the ATL, man. So, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, how do I see everybody at once?
All right, so you on your phone.
Do a tutorial.
You need to slide your screen to the left.
Hey,
twice. Okay. Slide your screen to the left twice. You should be able to see everybody.
Hey, I like this, man. I like when we start off the show with like the tutorial on how to work the Zoom.
You got everybody? All right, cool.
You know what was going on.
So we got the Teddy Riley Award already going to Nema Williams.
Man, you know what?
Yo, was he only talking to you at first the whole time?
He just heard us.
I can hear y'all. But what happened is when it pops up to the person talking, they would go in the corner. I could see them. Actually, it would be the big screen. I was in the corner, so
you had the speaker view. Yeah, so now you get to see everybody.
Okay.
Now I can see everybody. Forgive me.
Nah, you good.
Hey man, don't apologize at all. It's like when we get on with our dad, man, and you gotta walk
your
through
dad
it.
be up on that joint like, can you see me? Can you see me? You're like, dude, back up.
You're like, just call me. Just call me.
Just call me now. Text me. Get them texts.
All right.
Exactly. Hey, so I'll give everybody a breakdown. Caleb, I met you initially at Good Nights.
We did the
Good Nights.
North Carolina's
funniest man, and Jay Bliss went up there.
And I remember that night. I think we did the preliminary round, and you was like, man, I just don't want to have to come back on with you on. I'm like, dude, stop, man. Like,
because everybody. I was like, Jay Bliss, he should have won the year before, but the judges was on some stuff. So everybody already knew Jay Bliss had it that year, right? So I was on the first show and I was like, man, I just don't want to be on that. So I know I can make it through this round, but that second round, I'm like, man, as long as you're not on my show, man.
I was straight business there. I didn't want to play with nobody. I was like, nah. I was so bad about the year before, man. I was like, yo, I'm not playing with y'all, man. I was like, I'm not.
Competition is not to play, man.
I'm doing all closers.
He really did.
That's that fire stuff. Hey, Jay, you should do all our intros where you intro us, but you talk about some big shit that you did during the intro.
That was Caleb. Caleb did that. All right.
Nah, he really did.
Other than I got Mikey Winfield. I met him in New York at Sway in the Morning show.
That night you murdered that joint, man.
Nah, man, no, get out of here. Mike won that one. from everybody. He went up there and killed the room. You understand? And we talking about 11 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
and it was, guys didn't even eat breakfast. And I'm sitting there like, this dude is murdering it like it's 11 o'clock at night. And Nema Williams, man, we crossed paths in Jacksonville, North Carolina at the Navy base.
Yes.
We was down there doing the show that my cousin put on, and that thing was jam-packed with military. And we lit the room on fire, man.
We sure did, man. I love military shows. You know, I've been touring with the troops forever. 20 years, 20 plus.
20 plus with the troops?
Yeah, man, I've been to Afghanistan 4 times, Iraq twice, all over the Middle East. Anywhere you can name it's a military base, I probably been there. A lot of military tours.
So let me ask you a question about that, like performing in front of the troops. It's like I guess it's a structured environment, but I mean they looking for a little comic relief at the same time. But is it ever like a situation where you got to deal with like a heckler or anything like that?
I mean, not really, man. It depends. You got to understand, like most of the stuff we were doing in Afghanistan, the more recent stuff in the Middle East, we'd be in like FOBs, forward operating bases. So they'd be in like tent situations. So we would do shows like in the DFAC, in the cafeteria, the dining facility. So we would legit, they had us on a per diem. That's how they get as many shows out of us as they wanted to per day. We got paid per day. So we were theirs for the day. So they probably try to get us to do 2-3 shows a day. They Black Hawk us in, and we go and start the show in the DFAC. And then when we heard the Black Hawk coming back, we knew it was time to wrap it up and go and get right back in the Black Hawk, go to another base and do another one. But that was all in Afghanistan and in Iraq. That those forward operating bases where they're expecting incoming infantry. You know what I mean? It's like they're they're ready for war at any minute. You know, they're on the front lines fighting, and you don't got to sign death waivers and everything. We can't go out there, and if we die, we can't sue them.
Wow.
That must be a check. How much did they pay you for going out there? Because I need a whole check for that. I mean, put my life on the line.
The per diem depends on like your personal contract that you come up with. It can be like $500 a day to $1,500 a day or something like that. But then you work for like 30 days.
Yeah, I'll be out there for sure.
I'm not forget being heckled by somebody with a rifle though. I think I'm gonna just let them win.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get them a W on that one.
Right.
You know what, man? They're so appreciative of the entertainment. They don't want to heckle, and they can't drink, so nobody's drunk.
Right.
There's no drinking in the Middle East, so you know what I mean.
Seriously, I went to Japan or something, and they did drink.
Oh, Japan. I'm talking about the Middle East. It's a Muslim
right.
country. Inshallah, you can't drink.
Right.
Alhamdulillah, you cannot drink.
Right.
It's against Muslim code. It's against religion. But Japan, man, all the military bases, man, especially Okinawa, they be getting
Okinawa. Yeah, that's where it was. They was getting smashed.
Marines, boy, they be getting fucked up. Talking shit.
I'm still stuck on the fact you hear the Black Hawk come in, you know it's time to wrap up. That's a light for your ass. Like they be like, yo, you hear that?
The chopper.
Y'all can't hear me no more.
Y'all can't hear me no more.
Right. Is this thing on? Hey, I gotta go catch my ride. I'll be back, man. I'll let y'all.
We had one time. I was like, man, I had a fear of flying because I had a fear of flying for a long time, and I want to get over that fear. So I was terrified because I knew we were going to do a combat drop into this one area of outside of Afghanistan. Now, a combat drop is that the airplane has to go down so fast that there's no way RPGs can hit it. So basically, you're in like a C-120, which is those big airplanes. The back opens up and like shit gets put out with parachutes on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. The
big old airplanes got the back that opens up. So they have to go.
Transformers.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The Transformers. They usually drop things out the back and like that, the air parachute on it. So the airplane, normally when you're on an airplane, you go down at a gradual like that. Right. So they have to do what's called a combat drop. So they got to go like this.
Man,
and I'm scared to fly already.
No,
so I was terrified. I was like, I can't handle a combat drop, man. I can't do it. So I asked a Black Hawk helicopter pilot if he could get me ready. So I said, man, can you do some tricks and stuff, do some crazy stuff? I want to get out of my system. And the chopper had already landed.
What a request.
That's right.
He took it far. He took it a little too far. So he said, all the comedians that want to do some stuff, getting this Black Hawk. The people who are scared go in that Black Hawk. So it was me and like, I think Tyler Craig got on. I think it was the time of Tyler Craig. It could have been, or Delay. I can't remember. I have to look at the pictures. But we did some wild shit. I'm talking about drops and like damn near upside down. I had the door open. I was strapped in looking at, it was wild, man.
That's how you get over the fear. Yeah.
Yeah, and it worked though. Because when we did the combat drop, I wasn't as scared.
Right.
But I was still scared.
Right.
Yeah, I was still scared. But it was better.
That's insane, man. That is insane.
Yep.
That ain't nothing I ever had to experience. I don't even know if I want to go overseas now to do no military show.
Man, I wouldn't want to now with this fucking president, but I don't think they're even having entertainment, especially not comedians, especially not Black comedians. Man, they ain't having. I mean, it's just I don't see any more entertainment happening over there. Yeah. Which is a shame because it was good for them. They really enjoyed it, and the morale needs it.
So when you went, Mike, over to Japan, was yours like more like just military, or was it just like a one-time deal?
No, we did about 3 weeks to a month, and it was all military. Mm-hmm. And it was a time when I felt like I didn't realize how much they needed it, man. This was a lot of like 21-year-olds, young, left their families, still figuring themselves out, really drinking a lot of alcohol with a lot of responsibility. And I just felt like, oh man, let me not take what I do for granted, and being there, it was like, oh, do your job, be funny, and be as much as you can for them while you're here. And it touched me in a way, man, where like that support the truth thing means a lot, man, because like everybody ain't cut out for that. But them there, they were, and it was kind of hard. It was hard in that way.
They just kids.
Yeah,
that's what kind of messed me up too. Is they were just kids, especially in Afghanistan and Iraq. It's just like these are just kids and they're scared. Yeah. And the suicide rate is really high. But Mikey, after the shows, they would come up to you and be like, "Man, we appreciate this so much. This means so much to us, man."
They loved it, right?
Yes.
They loved
did
it,
y'all
man.
Did y'all have a bomb over there? Like, was it hard, like material wise and stuff? Working with the troops?
I got taken off stage in Okinawa because I was making fun. I guess it would have been Bush, who was the president at the time.
Oh, you're not allowed to do that, right? You can't bash the leader at the time.
I bashed the leader at the time. I did a joke, and I think the commander came on stage and like told me to get off, and then I had to beg to do the rest of the show, like the rest of the shows.
Right.
They were mad at me. They're like, "Who told you it's in your contract? You can't do this. You can't do that. If you do that, we no longer require your services." Right. You want to hear the craziest thing that happened to me real quick? We still talking about overseas shit.
Nah.
So this is just one last story. This is gonna fuck you up. All right. So this is when I was in Iraq, right? I was in Iraq and we went to a military base, and I think we were on an army base, but I was being transported by the Marine Corps. They can't communicate with each other without an outside person involved in communication. I left my passport on the army base. I knew where it was. But we had already left. They would not allow me to get the passport. It had to be shipped through somebody to get back to the base. So when I got back to the base that I was at, I was no longer an American citizen. I was immediately detained by the African government because they're the ones that control people who are, or the security forces on the bases. I was detained, taken to a separate part of the base, and basically put in lockdown. And I had to get transported to the Baghdad embassy to get a new temporary passport to even be an American citizen on those bases.
So you was almost just African from now on.
I was about to be African. I was about to go back to the fucking
That's crazy as hell. Must got adopted. He got adopted. It's like,
terrified.
I was scared too, man. And
That's
I kept telling
crazy.
them, I know where my passport is, man. I'm telling you, I left it in the computer room on that last base. And they said, well, you don't have a passport. You're not a citizen. We got to treat you like you're not a citizen.
And you ain't, it's no explanation. You got no explanation, nothing. You can't do nothing.
Well, as far as they were concerned, I lost my passport. And that's the protocol that they have to go through if you lose your passports. They treated me like somebody that lost their passport. So I was no longer a provable citizen. It's wild, man.
Yeah, man.
I had to go to Baghdad, the embassy in Baghdad. I got to stay in Saddam Hussein's palace. They converted into a military base, Saddam Hussein's palace, with the gold toilets and all that. Because that was the military base, in Baghdad at the embassy. So they had to put me up in a military base, and they converted Saddam Hussein's palace into a military base. It was wild.
Yo, that's an arrogant move by the United States, though.
Man,
tell me about it, man. Like, we gonna use this is our base now.
White people arrogant as shit.
Y'all like it here? Y'all like it here?
I never. White people are just arrogant. How is there even a South Africa? That never makes sense to me. How do you have the arrogance to just take a part of a country and say this is going to be white people shit, and it's called South Africa? Next to it is like Swaziland. It's like, can y'all hear me? My phone will die.
No, I got you.
That's just white people, man. I just.
Yo,
man.
Caleb, you the young bull on the screen right now.
Yeah.
How many years in are you right now in comedy?
I started when I was 11.
Oh, so you started 2011?
I started when I was 11.
You started when you was 11?
Yeah.
Dang.
So I low key got like years. Like I'm 10 years in, 11 years in, depending.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So
I started.
You had to have your parents like basically take you to places and do the thing, right?
Yeah. So I would my dad would drive me to the comedy clubs every week, and I'd be up there. That was my football practice, was the comedy club. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was there like every Tuesday doing open mics and practicing and rehearsing throughout the week and all that fun stuff.
Right.
Then when I was 14, I got to open work with people. So first started featuring and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you was 14.
Yeah.
Wow.
And see, I was looking at that. Like, most comedians are jealous and stuff like that. You know, when you
having a dad
to us, having a dad, right?
Yeah, that was driving around. Yeah.
What?
That's fly.
Having a dad. That's so funny.
No, so I mean, recently I saw online I know you taped your dry bar special.
I did. Yeah.
And is that supposed to be coming
Congrats.
out?
Man, Dry Bar, they own some stuff, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, they really funny. It's a great program. It's a great organization. All the people's really cool. But like, we've been going back and forth about when the special is supposed to come out for a couple months now.
Right.
Because like, I shot it in November, right? So the first time I heard was like March. Okay, so I hit him up in March. They're like, we got to push it back to April. Hit up in April. We got to push it back to May. Hit up in May. We got to push it back to June. Then it was July, and I'm like, come on. And at first I was like, they being funny, because at the end of my set, it gets kind of like, I kind of pushed it as much as I could.
Right.
That being a clean platform. So I was like, they might not release it. If they don't, then I'm cool. But like, I was talking to a couple other comics, and they like, yeah, they just like that. And
well, I'm waiting for yours to drop, because once yours drop, mine drop, because I think after you. So I'm waiting for you and Mike Goodwin.
Yeah.
I'm like, when y'all's come, I'm like, all right, mine next. You know what I'm saying? So I'm waiting to see what happens.
I missed what that was because I was trying to fix something. What's the special?
Dry Bar.
Dry Bar.
Oh, yeah, I heard that was nice. So Mike Singh told me about that.
Yeah. So Mike shot the Friday and I shot on Saturday. So he's down at the same time.
Yeah.
But I didn't catch him. But
I don't think that means come out in order though. They come out when they want to come out, right?
Yeah,
and that's incredibly normal for stuff to get pushed back. So I don't think it's nothing to take personal.
Okay, well,
like this is just business, man. That's how stuff happens.
Exactly. But I was like, because one of my friends, when I was in Provo, I was chilling with some of the comics in the green room. And he was like, yeah, I shot mine, man, and it never came out, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay, if that's what it is, like, just tell me, you know what I'm saying? Like, but don't keep
that only happens
back,
if you
like,
bomb, you know?
Exactly. See, and I went on that. So I'm like, you know, if it was too
edgy
for y'all clean, if it was too edgy, just tell me. And I'll be like, all right, cool, it's all good. But
the cool thing about it is, even if they don't, you got a clean set that they got to give to you. Or they give to you, you can still utilize it how you feel. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
And it was clean. I mean, I know mine won't come out before any of y'all's because mine was the 6th season.
Exactly.
Y'all taped in the 5th season, so mine is like the beginning of the next season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the other good thing. Then you also got an opportunity. I see you on the road quite a bit with Sinbad.
Yeah, man, that's my dude. It was cool. Is we was actually talking about Mike at one point.
Oh, yeah.
We was just talking about you in Nebraska. And somebody was like, what's that cat name that got an afro too? And I was like, we probably spent, I remember it because I probably spent 15 minutes trying to figure out who he was talking about.
Hilarious.
And he called another feature. He was like, man, what's that other dude with an afro? And I was like, oh, you talking about Mike? He was like, yeah. And then he goes, yeah, he's funny. And then that was the end of it. Like,
that was it. Sinbad's my guy, man.
All that research and stuff. It's funny.
He dropped me super advice, man. And it was
that's what's up.
And when comics do that, you remember that forever, you know?
Ever.
And he was just telling me about the process of himself also having a family and pursuing a comedy, like pursuing like the career hardcore. And just like, you know, things happen when they supposed to happen. And you might have to take a more patient approach,
right?
Unless you just like, let's lose the family. So man, like, and man, like it meant everything. So like I stick to those words, man. And a lot of comics have dropped jewels, man. And I when that happens, I realize that's my duty too, to like younger comics to like spit some game every once in a while. And if they keep it, they keep it. You know,
it's always important, man. I think. Each time I work with each one of y'all, I think we was able to chop it up and talk about different things backstage and talk about our process and how things happen. Sinbad, when I got a chance to work with him for the first time, he pulled me to the side before he got on stage, and he was meeting me for the first time and told me like, look, I like what you do, man, and I want to know about how you come up with your material and write, because I'm trying to tell my son how to go about doing stuff like this. And he's like, do you write clean? Do you write dirty? And I was like, I write clean every time, but I dirty it up as I go. You know what I mean? And then like, if I need to, I put in something that's inappropriate. If I don't, if I need to do it on TV, I can do it clean. And he was like, that's smart. I mean, that's good to do. And I mean, those opportunities always come about. The question I want to ask all y'all is like, what do you value more? Your feedback from your peers or feedback from the audience?
If you have to pick one.
Yeah.
That what you're saying?
Yeah.
probably maybe. Dang. So like if I hold on.
Yeah, it's a tough question.
I do it for
audience
feedback from the audience.
Yeah.
I do it for feedback from the audience.
Yeah.
Because that's the people they buy my tickets.
Right.
My homies ain't. And they probably and then like my peers like they are quick to do stuff like comedy. You know, they have the comedy critiques. So they're like, oh man, that's hack. I heard that. Like,
sometimes
before,
they're too close to it too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I have a select few people that I'll be like, okay, go over this tape. Like, what you think about this tape? But yeah, I gotta have that. I want to do it for the audience. You know.
But sometimes when another comedian recognizes something really genius you say, nothing means more to be like, yo, I wish I'd have wrote that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, when someone says, I wish I'd have thought of that. How did you think of that? That's crazy. But if you got to choose one, it's got to be audience because that's what we do it for.
Yeah, I feel you. And then, but I think when I think of a value, right? The audience is always key for me because I want to impress them. I want them to follow me. I want them to buy tickets. I want them to do those things. But when somebody's doing what you do and they recognize you for what you do or how you do something, or they say, yeah, you don't sound like nobody else, or I appreciate how you present yourself, or your style is not like anything I heard. You know you're doing it the right way. There's no other gauge. An audience member can't tell you or gauge you on your progress like another comedian can sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's why I look at it from a comedian standpoint. I value that a little bit more because they out there doing it like I am. And when somebody come up to you and go, yo, that was genius, man. And you be like, for real? Like, you know, you be like, man, I've been working on that one for a minute, you know what I mean? And it's just, you know, you appreciate it.
And it's hard to make comedians laugh. You know, if you had a show and a comedian is dying in the audience, like that's a feeling.
That's a great feeling.
When comedians really give it up for each other because it's something that's super funny, they go off, you know, in the background laughing. Nema!
Right.
That's a hell of a feeling, man.
I think when you're a really young comic, and one of the worst things you can hear from a older comic is, man, I wish I'd have thought of that, because you might not see that bit again.
Hey.
That joke might be a rap.
Yeah.
I've had many jokes taken like that.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been through that the situation where whether you see somebody do your joke or you hear somebody tell you that your joke killed.
Yeah.
Like, yo, your joke killed last night. Like, like what happened? And then, you know, you get like 5 text messages or 2 calls or whatever. Like, oh man, you know what I mean?
I used to work Atlanta a lot before I moved here. I was living in New York, and I used to work Atlanta a lot because he was close. And one time I came back to Atlanta, and I think Chris Jones set it off. Chris Jones.
Yeah.
He said, you ain't been here for a while, but your jokes been here the whole time.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So we all dealt with that. We all dealt with it, but it's like sometimes, you know, it's almost like when one of those jokes get taken, you go, I ain't doing that one no more anyway. You know what I mean?
It depends on the joke. It's not a closer. I mean, friendships have ended before. I mean, I kind of stopped being friends with Tony Roberts because he had taken the bitch where you been from me. But then we ended up being cool because I was like, you can have it.
That was yours?
Joke. That's a funny joke, though.
It is a funny joke.
Bitch, where you been, bitch? Yeah, well, we was roommates at the time. We had just stopped being roommates. This is in LA. And I sang the first verse in the car. I call your mom house. I call your cousin too. I call your girlfriend. But she ain't seen you, bitch. Where you been, bitch? So, I mean, that was it. That was the song. And then I came to Atlanta. And I did a college, and I killed it at college. I come back to LA. I go to LA. He's on stage doing a joke. And I was like, but he had a whole nother verse for it. And so I was like, I was mad as fuck. We about to fight. We wasn't friends for a while. And after a while, he said, man, fuck it. He branded it as his joke, and he wrote a whole other verse for it. And I'm not really a song dude.
Yeah, I've explained that to people so many times. Like, Caleb can do a bit, and it can kill. And if I'm hot right now, and I decide to do it,
it does.
Caleb go, yo, he took that from me, and they gonna go, who are you?
And he did it on Def Jam. That's what made it a big deal. Once Tony did it on Def Jam, and I was right there when he did it.
That is a huge deal.
It's major. It's major, man. It's
his.
It's his. That's his joke. Yeah, that's
but the thing is, we was so tight. We was like best friends. I mean, this was people used to call us Black Man and Robin. He could have just asked me for it.
Black Man and Robin.
He could have just asked me for it. Been like, yo, man, I really want this joke. I really want this joke. Can I have it? Instead, he took it. That's what pissed me off. That was what a beef was.
I had a comedian offer me money for a joke one time.
Which one was it?
Yo, that's kind. That's very kind.
That's kind. That's very kind.
He offered me money for that joke, and I was like, nah.
What bit was it?
Huh?
How much? No, how much?
What bit was it?
How much?
I think at the time he was trying to give me like 500.
Okay.
Which bit? Do you remember the bit?
That's decent.
This was early on. It was early on. But I basically was like, I'm still working on it. I was like, it was like the premise was there and a good punchline, but I knew I could expand it out.
Oh, okay. Word.
No, that's a weekend of featuring without performing.
That is. You ever give a joke away to somebody and later on do it yourself again? like
give a joke to somebody. Make it funnier.
No, like you give a joke to somebody and then later on you're like, man, fuck that. I'm gonna keep doing this shit. That's happened to me a couple times.
I don't get no jokes away, man. Forget that.
Right. Just don't give them away, man. Just don't give them away. But I took so much time off, I feel like I ain't been on stage in a while. I was on stage for the first time this weekend since the pandemic.
How was it, man?
How'd it go?
It was fun, man. I felt good. It wasn't a huge crowd. It was spaced out for quarantine,
right?
But they were happy to be there. It was different with people wearing masks. The interaction was a little bit different. But I had a ball, man. I had fun. It felt great. I was very nervous. First show Thursday night, I forgot the punchline for one of my very big jokes, and I had to just say I just forgot the punchline. Dang. They had to work with me. I had to remember it. Then I remembered and redid the joke. So,
right.
See, man,
me too, man. I did some shows this weekend, and hey, man, I'm telling you, man, I had a blast, and I know the feeling you're talking about because it's like starting over in a way again, So it had some feelings, but man, I've been doing these punk ass Zoom shows, right? Like straight.
Yeah. So
I saw what real life versus Zoom really means, man. And some of the jokes was okay.
Stand-up is, man.
Yeah, man.
How amazing stand-up is, man. I really fell back in love with stand-up this weekend, just being on it. I forgot how much I loved it, man.
That live energy is nothing like it. Right.
Yeah.
Felt like a superhero, man. It was wonderful. It was amazing.
I had shows the last 2 weekends in a row. And when I tell you my brain was fried, I just was standing on stage like, first of all, it was awkward from when I got on stage because I got on stage and switched the microphone out.
Yeah, you had to, right?
Yeah, so it was like,
damn.
It was like they looking at me like I'm special. I'm like, look, man, I ain't playing with y'all. Like, and then like, the jokes, they weren't coming to me. So I'm babbling, I'm rambling, I'm crowd working. Then I'm remembering, and I'm like, oh, let me do this joke real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Then I'm going back into the other thing. Then I'm having fun. I'm having fun. But in my mind, I'm going, this is horrible. Like, but the crowd they're loving it because they're happy to be out.
Happy to be out, and the fact that you're a professional, good comedian. The brain of a comedian is so crazy because we're doing so much at once. We're scanning the audience, we're talking on autopilot, and we're thinking at the same time. So you can actually be speaking almost on autopilot while you're thinking of your next joke. You're scanning the audience. There's so much going on.
That's wild.
And we make it look so flawless. Because people would never guess that we're up there going through a complete panic and we don't know what's going on. But we go into this zone when we're on stage, that we're better people on stage than off stage, and we're funnier on stage. You know what I mean? Real comedians. So it's incredible that we can do that, and nobody can tell we're going through. I was going nuts the first show. I was nervous. I couldn't remember my jokes. I was all over the place, but they couldn't tell.
Right.
How much time? Oh, my fault.
I was headlining, so my minimum was 45.
Dang, see, I can't imagine just trying to ain't done it in 3 months and just trying to get back up and do 40.
Yeah, I was headlining mine too, so it was 45 minutes, and I think the first show I did, it wasn't a second show, so I think I did like 50, like 50, 55, but it was more or less like I was just trying to get my rhythm. Then I had a heckler, and that went left. They left. I had to kick them out.
That's way left when they left.
Way left. They left.
They
left. That's wild.
Damn.
Yeah. So it was crazy, man. It was crazy. But it's all getting it back to that rhythm of like comedy's got to continue on. And we in a unique
never
spot.
gonna stop.
We in a unique spot because we can talk about the issues, and to get on stage and not talk about the things that's been going over the last 3 months is a crime in itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
you got to address it, but then you got to be like, all right, let me get this out of the way so that everybody understand what's going on. You know what I mean? And like what was going on in my life, or what's making me depressed, or what's making me happy and stuff like that. So
yeah, Jay, you don't even need that joke that you didn't sell for $500.
right.
You know, like,
You should have got
talk about.
I can use that 500 right now, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you should have sold that joint, man. That's right. It's been on my mind.
Well, one thing that's powerful about comedy that I found out this weekend, because I haven't been on it so long, and I haven't been on stage since the race relations were weird. I was in Auburn, Alabama, buddy. So there was a diehard redneck dude, Trump supporter. I mean, when I started talking on stage, you went like, oh. But I mean, he was jumping out of his seat. He wanted to strangle me so bad. But by the end of the show, he shook my hand. He liked my material, and he felt like I opened up his mind a little bit about certain subjects concerning Black Lives Matter and things like that. So I connected with that dude a little bit, and that's the power of comedy, because
it's the power.
It really is, because it's not an aggressive way. You know what I mean? So you can talk to somebody without them feeling defensive about it.
Yeah,
because you making light of everything. So you can get your point across without being, in their face with it. So it's very powerful, man. Comedy ain't going nowhere. I know. I feel like
the key in comedy that bridges that gap is analogies.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
If you can find that perfect analogy for them to be like, I get it, because sometimes they don't want to hear it, and then like
it's
if
funny.
you talk about a subject that's hitting home for them, they done already zoned out.
That's funny, because I said something I think hit home for him. I said I said y'all are all lives matter people over here, and that's when the dude said Alabama. And I said I made a joke about that, explaining everything. So then the thing I said to him that I thought kind of got through to him is I said, look, man, Black people are 13% of the American population, 13% of just the American population, and the entire world is pissed off. We got girls in Sweden with braids talking about Black Lives Matter. The entire world is getting behind this movement, and this dumb motherfucker right here is like, nope, all lives matter. It's like it put in his head that like everybody in this entire world is on the side of this cause because it's really that bad. And how the fuck do you look going against it? So I don't think that was quite it, but it was a part of it.
No. That is, man, I've been thinking the same thing. It's like, how are we fighting for this? But then your neighbor right down the street doesn't see your fight for equality. Like when people out the country are fighting for which everyone
New Zealand is standing up for this shit. And you know what I mean? It's just wow.
So your own neighbors, right?
So the one way I mentioned it to a friend that, basically feels that way. I told him, what if your actions of trying to go against what's going on right now caused your kids and your grandkids to have a messed up life? Would you change your actions? Because all you're thinking about right now is you and your family. I said, but the actions that you taking today by standing on this side of the argument, what if I told you 20 years from now, your kids and your grandkids' life was going to be hell because of the way you acted? And then he would be like, I would change what I would do. I go, exactly. I was like, but you don't know what the ramifications of your actions right now is going to be because you're trying to be on the wrong side of the argument.
That's because white people can't see past the fear. White people are terrified. Listen to Jane Elliott. She's spot on with it. Within 30 years, white people will possibly be obsolete. So they're terrified to lose that power. So they don't care about the future. They think the power is going to be gone anyway. So that fear and that paranoia and that in their mind, completely justifiable white terror stops them from even having logical common sense. And it's just that simple. White people are terrified. White people will be extinct in 30 years, pretty much. The beginning of the extinction. White people are out the door, man. There's not enough white people. Not enough white women having babies. There's too many people. This is inevitable. Within 50 years, there will be no more white people, and there will definitely be no more white supremacy or power. Within our fucking lifetime. I might be dead. But
well, they got enough guns to fight it.
Very possible.
I think those lines right there is what scares them.
Scares the hell out of them.
Yeah, okay. If they got somebody in their ear saying that,
see, but I don't understand why that scares them. Because the thing that's the key to racism, because the fact that scares them proves racism is they feel that they're a different species than somebody else. They'll be extinct. You won't be extinct. You just have a different mixture of blood. Human race is the human fucking race. This idea that white people will be extinct is the core of what racism is. That you're some special class of people when you're actually a lower class. To be honest with you, I'm sorry, white people, but you know you've got you come from the original man, the black man, and come down and get watered down through defects, basically. So you are the farthest thing from the original man. But you know, that's not what this topic is about. But white people
you go ahead, man.
History lessons here.
History lessons. Go ahead, brother Malcolm.
We're not talking about like Mediterraneans and people like that. We're talking about white people that people say went from the Caucasus Mountains, whatever your belief is. But that particular group of people, about 30,000 years ago, they became almost obsolete. Okay, became almost obsolete, and they had to fight each other, inbreed, do all kinds of shit, and certain genetic chains were created in them that made them more angry, mean fucking people. You know what a bonobo monkey is?
Yeah.
Yeah, bonobo monkey. Anyway, they're a type of primate that was separated from any danger and had plenty of food, and they have no anger in them. Your DNA changes over thousands of years if you're not presented with any danger. You don't have that fight or flight instinct. That fight or flight instinct is so deep in white people, it makes them instinctively territorial and scared. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is why white people are kind of the way they are. It's in their genetics. It's from the group of people that almost diminished to nothing 30,000 years ago.
Thank you.
That's a lot. It's a lot to take on.
Dr. Nema is on here dropping knowledge about white people. Like
I'm trying to tell you, man. Hey man, don't underestimate. You know, Wallace D. Farr Muhammad, who founded the Nation of Islam and came and gave the teaching to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, came in the form of a white man. You never know where that lesson is gonna come, and you can't deny it. This particular vehicle doesn't mean that I'm right. Have any less ability to express the message.
Only problem is you can't do that whole speech you did on stage and last. Like gonna be like, yo, get off the stage, man. Like they're gonna be like, get back.
Hey man, see that's the power of comedy though, man. Like comedians get up there and teach,
right?
Throw in laughs, and you learn. And man, people are not gonna get the truth from those Facebook posts or from those politicians, man. Like it's probably gonna come from a comedian.
Yeah,
that's where like the substance, the truth is gonna come from. Where's Nema?
He just spoke too much truth, and now Zoom then blocked him off. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's what happens, man. Right?
He'll come back in a minute. He was having technical. He get the Teddy Riley Award this episode. So yeah. So Mike, let me ask you, man. You doing the Zoom shows? You got a couple of He gonna come back on.
He's like gone right now.
You gotta go. Like he spoke too much truth. You did a live show. You still doing a Zoom joint. Do you have anything lined up like for the 4th and going forward, or was it just like these sporadic ones?
For Zoom or for live shows?
For live shows.
Okay, yeah, I do have some live shows, man. I got like some things on the calendar that are like farther out. You know, a couple in July. But it's funny, man. I'm going to keep doing the Zooms in between because I get to say stuff out loud. I try ideas with fans. Like fans literally want to be there for you. And if I'm going to try out material, I might as well try it on people who have been to shows, you know? Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm doing both. But like Nema said, it is nothing like the live. And a piece of me forgot that until like last night I did 2 shows. And I'm like, oh, this feels good. Right. And it really did, man. It was like, you know, the rhythm, like you said, Jay, it was like trying to get the rhythm back. Right. Get the rhythm back. But, you know, things came in. I was trying so much new material, but it was just a fun night, though.
I felt good. Valuable. I felt good about the new material that I was trying. And I was literally working it out on stage. Because the crowds were small. I felt like more of an open mic type vibe. So I was trying out a lot of materials, and even the other comedians that was on the show with me, they was like, you got something with that one. Like that's dope. Like you got to keep working with that one. That's a good one. You got a good response when you did that. You know what I mean? And I was like, it ain't turning right. You know what I'm saying? But maybe it was this audience size. You know what I mean? So let me ask you this, Mike, and then Caleb follow up with it. I've seen a clip on YouTube, Mike, where you had a guy, there you go, Nema, I got you. All right. You had a guy fall asleep, dead sleep, while you was on stage.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah, you got to turn your phone landscape. There you go. I got you. All right. and you were on stage and the dude fell asleep and you went live. It was like on YouTube and you was doing your show and you went and sat next to the dude dead asleep.
Hell yeah. So, hey man, I'd like to start off by saying it wasn't my comedy.
No, I know.
No, you might know, but they might not know. So man, this dude was gone. And I think, man, like I had said in the clip, man, I think he was on like his third shift of the night, had just got off. You know, man, this dude still had on his work uniform, drank too much. And man, there's a ton of places if you get tired to sleep in a comedy club. There's like a back corner. This dude sat in like the front row center, you know? And man, you know, after a while, you know, comedians, we do the same materials and you got to break it up, man. Like people come for a show. You got to keep yourself interested. So to me, it was like what I've been taught for Comedy 101 is observe the obvious, point out the obvious. And that was this dude passed out in the front. So I was like, all right, man, extend the mic cord. And the audience wanted me to roast them because they was helping me unwind the mic cord. It was like, yo, help dude. You know,
did he wake up?
Yo, man, so I walk down, man. This is on YouTube now. I walk and I start talking to him. I start saying stuff. Dude's passed out. Then I'm like getting nervous. I'm like, is he dead? You know, like, yo, is there a problem? I'm like, who's with him? And they like, nah, man. Like this dude just showed up alone and slept in the front. It's getting real weird. And then somebody knew his name. And then I'm like, all right, y'all on 3. Let's yell his name. And we was like, on 3. We yell like, Ruben. Dude still didn't budge. I'm like, yo,
just check his pulse.
Call God. Yeah.
Check his pulse.
Right, man. But man, he did. He eventually came back and he apologized. And I was like, nah, man, thank you.
Yo, thank you. You helped me. Yeah. You helped the show. That's the one time I'm like, I helped your show. Like, yeah, you helped my show.
Man. For that one, man, I gave him a pass, man. It's like, you know, I could tell it came from an innocent place. This dude didn't mean any harm.
Right.
He just, you know, he just picked the wrong place to fall asleep.
Like you're gonna be YouTube famous tonight, yeah. So Caleb, just talking about awkward situations on stage, like things that might come to your mind and go, yo, that was crazy.
I'm trying to think. So like when I'm on the road with Bad,
were you 12? Were you 12 or 13 then?
I mean, no, but we'll do our shows together. So like he'll do his show with me on stage.
Okay.
So usually if anything happens, like we'll clown it together. That's probably the best moment. And we had somebody sleep one time too. Cause it wasn't that they was drunk, they was just you know, his crowd be up there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was a fun moment. We just clowned him together. I think we was in Memphis and he did like 3 hours. And come hour 3, like old people, I mean, they just putting that finger up, you know what I'm saying? They on the way out the door.
3
and this one dude was KO'd. Yeah, man. Somebody be doing like 3 hours for fun, like just to see if he can do it. And I'm like, sir, you proved it. You know what I'm saying? Let me prove it. I'm trying to go to bed. You've done this a number of times, okay? But that was a cool moment. We had somebody fall asleep. He was old, but that's probably the only thing like I've seen.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was on stage and I was telling a joke about the immaturity of guys and how immature guys are no matter how old they are. Yeah. And I said the joke and I pointed to the dude up front. I'm like, you know what I'm talking about, right, man? And he just like kind of raised his hand. And then I was looking a little closer. I realized it wasn't a dude.
Yeah.
It was a lesbian, right? And when I said, you know what I'm saying? And he kind of didn't agree. Yeah. Or she didn't kind of agree, but I was like, oh, you can't say nothing. You there with your mom. And it wasn't his mom or her mom. It was her date. And I was like, it was just like all awkward, right? So in my mind, I'm like, oh, you messed up bad, right? But then I flipped it because I'm like, hold up, y'all can't get mad at me. This the look he going for. She going for this look. And it fooled me. So bravo to you. You knocked that out the park. You know what I'm saying? Because you fooled me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought you was a dude for real. You know what I mean? So it's like, if that's the look you're going for, you got it. You know what I mean? So, like, you can be mad at me because you looking like you trying to look. You know what I mean?
You just got canceled, by the way.
It wasn't. Because I'm going to tell you, after it happened, they was the first ones to come up to you after the show. The first ones, and was like, yo, that was the funniest thing I seen happen. I'm like, yo, y'all got me. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like one of those things, you know.
One of them got you. The other girl was just living her life. She just looked old.
Yeah, she was old. She knows she looked old.
She wasn't trying to look old.
I wasn't revealing nothing to her, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah. What about Nema? You good? You back?
Yeah, I'm back. I had to switch phones.
We talk about awkward situations on. We talk about awkward situations on
my girl phone.
Yeah, Nema, whole name changed, right?
Yeah. I think it's up as Bobby now. I'm up as Bobby now. That's hilarious. I look more like a Bobby. Hey, buddy.
Bobby Disher.
I wanted to say Nema though. That's her brother's name. My girl's not named Bobby.
Okay. All right.
Brother's name Bobby.
You want to clear that up?
Yo,
no judgment. No judgment.
We're not judging here, man. We're not judging.
Don't try to cancel me, man. Don't try to cancel me. Hey, my most awkward situation. That's what the question was.
Yeah.
All right. This is horrible. I was doing Mark Vieira's room, and I think this is somewhere in Yonkers.
Funny dude.
I know John Lasseter was there. He was still drinking at the time, so he was all fucked up. So I was drinking too, so I was kind of fucked up. So I'm on stage and I'm doing a good set, and I really feel like I'm killing, like in my mind, I'm killing. I had a great time. And I started snapping on people, and there was this picture behind me, and there was this woman, and it looked like she was like staring at me in the picture. And I'm trying to explain what my mind was, and I said, "Who is this bitch here?" And the whole place got quiet. It was the owner of the club who had recently died, and the whole place was like named after her, and like they did rosaries for her. And this is Spanish, this is Spanish people. It was very serious. Like, this is an altar to this woman that died. And I said, "Who is this bitch here?" And Mark like came up on stage, and said, yo, and he kind of whispered in my ear. He told me who it was, and I just immediately, "I'm so sorry, I had no idea." And I went on with the show. They forgave me, but it was just so bad. It was so bad. I said, "Who is this bitch here?"
That's bad, bro. That's bad. That reminds me. I was doing a show in Jacksonville, North Carolina. It was a bar called Swanix. And I didn't know the way it was spelled. It looked like, Swanee or something like that, or Swans, but it said Swanix. So I get on stage and I go, "What the hell is Swanix?" I was like, "That's somebody's last name?" And everybody was like, "Yep." And all the people behind the bar was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, that's y'all last name? Y'all own this?" They was like, "Yeah." I was like, "What kind of last name is that?" And the dude, the father was like, "Ukrainian." I was like,
I
ain't got nothing else to say. I was like, I ain't got nothing else to say. I was like, "Y'all don't got to get no body bag together and don't put
right,
no
Mr. Funny man
like that." I said, "I'm done talking."
You want to talk about the joke you tell?
Right.
They're gonna get you. They're gonna get you.
I've said too much already.
That's
Vidania.
Yeah.
That's Vidania.
That's basically what it is. But I mean, I'm glad things are getting back into the swing of things. I feel like I'm starting to see a lot more comedians post about being on the road and being on stage. But I also feel like we about 2 months away from it being shut all the way back down again.
It's about to. Yeah. It's about to get shut back down again.
And I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can survive that. Because there's some comedy clubs that's gonna close. Some that already have closed. But I feel like another shutdown is gonna hamper just the creativity. And I mean, comedy is still going to exist, but
the creativity
just to be off for that long. I feel like I can't even count this year in my years of comedy.
Yeah, you got to use your time, man. I mean, me and this dude Plug Chapman, he is comedian.
Yeah, I know Plug down in Atlanta.
So down in Atlanta. So when the quarantine first started, he's like, "Man, I really want to write the script," and he didn't know how to format it as well as I know how to write scripts really well. I went to school for it. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll help you format it." And I really liked the idea. So I was like, I got so involved in it, we knocked out the whole script. So we wrote a script during the quarantine. Well, the first draft was done. But it really helped me just stay on like a process, just moving forward. Because every day I was just focused on, let's get that first draft out. And the first draft is done. And I was glad it happened before the revolution started, because that's all I've been focusing on since it started. That's all I do is do research, get online, and spread the word. The revolution is happening right now. Brothers, believe that.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Caleb, what have you done extra during the quarantine that you weren't doing before the pandemic started?
I got my YouTube channel up and running. And it's not that I wasn't doing it before. I just didn't have to. It was hard. I think with my schedule and my videographer schedule and us getting together and putting out content, And so we had all this other content shot. And we were like, yo, now's the time because I'm not doing nothing. And then just starting to build and write content to get the channel up and running, stuff like that.
Right.
So that's
now,
the main thing.
Mike, you started a brand new podcast, right?
Yeah, I started a podcast, man. I also have learned how to fix faucets. So if anyone needs their faucet installed, you could hit me up. And man, I would charge a different rate because I'm not only am I going to help you with the faucet repair, I could like provide like entertainment. So I know how to fix faucets now. Yeah, man, because it broke and we didn't have nowhere to go. And I like did it on my own. And now I'm like an expert, had a water running, like pure, had a drain not stopped up. So yeah, I'm doing that, man. Podcasting, you know, and a lot of that too, writing, just being as productive as possible. And
this is terrible, but I ain't wrote a goddamn thing in like 4 months.
Right.
Because I was like, for what? I'm not writing until I'm back on the stage. Because I would like create an hour for the purpose of like, I'm about to shoot this or like, I'm going to take this, you know.
I can't write
now
jokes,
I'm like,
so.
Yeah, now I'm like, I just don't have that. I mean, I'll get on stage and try some stuff in my head, but I ain't sat down and wrote in a minute. Like,
but see, I don't write jokes. I don't write out jokes. I write on stage. I just take it on stage. Like if I sat at home and tried to sit and write jokes, I wouldn't be able to do it.
That's all I do, man. Yeah, man.
Really.
So yours is and that's the thing. So that's two different approaches of how I write, because I write premises and I write punchlines. I write premises and punchlines and I fill in the rest. And I map it out. So my phone, I might get an idea and I'll just put it in my phone. Then when I go home, I write it out. Like I got a notepad. Like I start writing it out and going, all right, analogies, synonyms, anything else that I can go on along with this premise. And then when I get on stage and I start that premise, that's when the extra stuff might come in.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But I do start writing first.
Yeah, man. I'm straight in the book, man. I got a book where I use the pen pretty much. I'm just writing. But then I voice text a lot of stuff in the notes on the phone. And then I go back through the stuff because I'm literally just trying to super flush a joke before I take it to the stage. And man, I watch a lot of them tags not land. But you take it out. And then I got a whole thing of 3 more to try for the second show. So I don't have to brainstorm in the middle of the show. So now I'm like, okay, that joint didn't land. All right, let's go with this. And it stays a production. So it never stops moving. And every show I'm bringing like something new to the performance to tighten and sharpen. So, and I just always like that. I've always been in the books anyway. So it's kind of easy.
I think I start from the other side because I'm most creative on stage in the beginning of it. So I'll take a concept, just a basic concept, and then I'll just try it on stage. And the freestyle element that I do on stage is where the joke starts. And then I come write it down.
Do you record?
Oh yeah, my phone, audio.
Yeah.
Okay.
As much as possible.
Right.
But, sometimes it times out and it doesn't happen quite right, but I do it as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah. That's dope. I mean, I the whole freestyle thing, and crowd work is a craft.
Yes.
I mean, crowd work is a craft. Some people shy away from it. Some people get rattled and they lose track of focus.
But I go into the audience.
Yeah, I feel like crowd work can be a crutch and it could also be a blessing at the same time if you know how to do it properly. I work with a certain comedian, Big J. And I seen Big J. I work with
Christine, white boy.
I see him do a full show, and then I see him do one show where he told 2 jokes.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time was all crowd work. And it was hilarious.
It's hilarious.
And I was like, "Dang, dude!" I said, "You really only did one joke because you threw the last one at the end just to get off stage." You know what I mean?
Sometimes the crowd work jokes aren't real. It's like a Rolodex in your head. It's like you touch on something that's already in your head. It's like a joke Rolodex. So
like freestyle rappers.
Exactly. As soon as the opportunity arises for that joke to come out, it comes out, and it seems very organic and spontaneous. But really, it's somewhere back there. You didn't just think of that. You've thought of that before.
Hey man, you telling the fourth wall. You telling the fourth wall.
Right. That's the truth though. But we ain't supposed to reveal that secret. But yeah.
Another thing that like most people might not know is like when we are trying out new material, you know, the sweet spot is to throw it in the middle of 2
Absolutely,
jokes.
Yes.
So you got a good joke, you get a good laugh, try the new one. And then be like, all right, let me get the heater after that one. Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do. Right.
Yeah, because I've seen people do 3 new jokes in a row. I'll be like, you killing yourself right now. Like you killing yourself.
I had wrote a joke that was a savior for a joke if I bombed about writing new jokes. About trying new shit. It's the only profession that you can try new shit.
Right.
Like I do a joke that doesn't do that well. Like I say, I was trying some new shit. This is the only profession that you can try new shit. You can't like be a doctor and fuck up and surgery. I was trying some new shit. So it is the only field that we can literally during our job just try some new shit.
Right.
You always keep that one in the chamber. Right.
That's brilliant, man. I ain't never heard of that before.
I'm gonna tell you. Well, I'll tell you this. The audience can dictate whether I'm willing to try something new too. Like sometimes the audience is so dope, and they going with you on everything. You're like, you know what, y'all always try something new on y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like they give you
Sometimes the audience is so closed that you can't try nothing new. It's like they shy. It's like they're looking at a TV, so you just can't try nothing. You have to do material.
Wait, I don't want to. What's this? I don't know if we could I say that. Y'all ever been to, man, all right, I'm going to say it. We was at this club in Naples, Florida.
Off the hook.
Man, how you do when you went there, Mike?
Hey, man, just tell your experience. That's what this is about right now.
Man, one of these shows, I rethought my career. I bombed so hard. Y'all was looking like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Man, these white people looked at me because Naples is where white people go to die. It's like a retirement community kind of thing. And man, these people looked at me. We had a staring contest on stage and they won. They won for 15 minutes. Man, I was so mad. I got off stage like, I'm never bombing again. Like, it was one of those bombs. Like, man, I'm better than this. You know what I'm saying? But because the reason I was mad because I was doing new stuff, right? And I've been working on this bit that was like an opener. And it was hitting like everywhere I was doing it, man. I got here, man. I did that jump for 2 shows. They looked at me for the rest of my set. I was like, I'll never do this joke again. I swear to God.
So you never did that joke again?
I ain't done it since, low key.
I got you shook, yo. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I did. Man. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
I did a show. Right. I did a show one time. You know RJ, the college booker. You know RJ. Johnson.
Yeah.
I don't know why he booked me for this, but it was a college show. But it was a concert. It was a rock concert. It was all white people. It was white college, and it was like this. I don't know. It was like this American freedom rock type thing. I just don't think he had anybody white on his roster that he could do. But I was the last person to be on the show. So, because I mean, I do not bite my tongue when it comes to my personal beliefs about a lot of shit. If y'all know me at all. Anyway, it was so bad. I got booed off stage, and my life was in danger. RJ had to go hide me in the car. He said, just go in the car and stay in there. And it was all white people. It was Trump. This is post-Trump. This is now. This is recent. This is like last year. I mean, the anger they had towards me was so real. It was drenching from their pores. They wanted to kill me.
Was that in Naples, Florida too?
Yeah, I think it was right outside of Naples. It was in Areola, Florida.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
That's crazy, man. I think we at the time, man. I usually do these for about an hour, man. But yo, I appreciate every single one of y'all for coming on, man. And I'm gonna tap into y'all again, man. Just look on y'all phones because the roster. I changed the roster up, and I'm gonna probably bring y'all back on sooner or later.
Hey, man, appreciate it.
Good to see you, man.
Yo, man. Hey, man, always a pleasure. It's been a minute.
It's been a long,
no doubt.
Right.
Hey,
time.
Real
and
quick.
I'm not Bobby, everybody. I'm not Bobby.
No. Just Nema. Shout out their social media and everything so everybody can follow them if they need to. Nema, go ahead, go first.
It's just at Nema Williams, Nema Williams, WILLIAMS. Nema Williams, everything. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything.
All right, Mike, you got it.
Yeah, it's Mike E. Winfield. It's MIKE. It's an E in the middle, Winfield. That'll get you to the Twitter, Instagram. But if you want the quick shot, go to bigassteeth.com and that'll straight shot you. And you can get tickets to the Zoom shows and get all the social media there. It's there.
No doubt. And Caleb.
So you just go to CalebElliottComedy.com, ELLIOTT, and that'll get you to everything else you need.
Cool. No doubt. Yo.
I'm going to follow you, Caleb.
Yeah, do that, man.
Y'all connect, man. Absolutely. No doubt, man. Hey, shout out to y'all, man. Salute to all of y'all, man. Y'all stay up, be safe, and I'm gonna see y'all next time.
All right,
man.